Welcome, everyone. Ready to go deep. Today, we're diving headfirst into Buddhism. But not just the basics, no.
We're going beyond Buddhism 101.
We've got some incredible source material to work with.
That's right. We're going to be looking at a foundational Buddhist text.
And get this, some contemporary YouTube explanations, too.
We'll be weaving them all together to uncover some really practical wisdom.
Wisdom that, and this is key, can make a real difference in your life.
Because that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Making these ancient teachings relevant to how we live today.
Exactly. And what we're really exploring here is Dharma.
Dharma, okay.
Not so much a religion, but a way of life, you know? It's about peeling back the layers of reality.
Peeling back the layers, I like that.
And discovering how to break free from suffering.
Okay. So we're not shying away from the tough stuff.
Not at all. Buddhism acknowledges that suffering is a part of life.
It does. It doesn't sugarcoat it.
But it doesn't stop there. It offers a path forward.
And that's what we're here to explore.
Today, we're going to dive into the Four Noble Truths.
The Four Noble Truths.
And the Eightfold Path. The very core of Buddhist thought.
That's the heart of it, right? The core principles.
Exactly. The Four Noble Truths are clearly laid out in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta.
The Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, okay.
This ancient text recounts Buddha's very first teachings.
After his enlightenment.
Right.
Let's hear it. I'm ready. Tap into that ancient wisdom.
Okay, so the first truth is this. Suffering, or dukkha in Sanskrit, is woven into the very fabric of existence.
It's inescapable.
In a way, yes. Birth, aging, sickness, death, these are all forms of suffering.
The big stuff.
Yeah, but also not getting what we want.
Yeah. That's...
Being attached to things we like, or even just the fact that everything is constantly changing. This is all dukkha.
Okay, so it's more than just the obvious pain and loss.
Right. It's a much broader understanding of suffering.
It's a powerful recognition, isn't it? Life has its challenges.
It does.
Buddhism doesn't sugarcoat it. It starts by acknowledging this fundamental truth.
Right.
But it doesn't leave us there,
right?
It goes on to explain the cause of this suffering.
Exactly. The second truth states that the root of suffering is craving.
Craving.
Or tanha in Sanskrit. It's that thirst for things to be different.
Wanting things to be other than they are.
Yeah. That clinging to pleasurable experiences, the aversion to unpleasant ones, it's this constant push and pull that keeps us trapped.
Trapped in a cycle of dissatisfaction.
Exactly.
So it's not the external events themselves that cause suffering.
No.
It's our internal reaction to them. This craving, this clinging. It's like we're creating our own suffering.
In a way, yes. We're adding to it.
Wow. That's a lot to process. But there's hope, right?
Oh, absolutely. The third truth offers a ray of hope. It states that suffering can end.
You can.
This cessation of suffering is called nirvana.
Nirvana.
Now, nirvana isn't a place you go after you die.
Oh, I see.
It's a state of being, a state of liberation.
Liberation from what?
From this constant cycle of craving and dissatisfaction.
Nirvana. It's a word we often hear, but rarely understand.
Right.
So it's not about reaching some heavenly reward.
Yeah.
It's about an inner transformation.
Exactly.
Okay. So we know suffering can end, but how do we get there?
That's where the fourth truth comes in.
Yeah.
This is where the rubber meets the road. It tells us that there's a path.
A path to end suffering.
Yes. And that path is the Noble Eightfold Path.
Okay, the Eightfold Path.
It's a set of guidelines for how we live our lives.
Guidelines, not rules.
Right, more like guiding principles. It covers how we think, how we speak, how we act, even how we earn a living.
So it's pretty comprehensive.
It is. It touches every aspect of life.
I like how clear and direct the Four Noble Truths are.
They are.
It's like, okay, here's the problem, here's the cause, here's the solution.
And here's the path.
Yeah, exactly. It's a framework, a roadmap.
Right, like a doctor diagnosing and treating an illness.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
First, the diagnosis. Life involves suffering.
Right.
Then the cause, this deep-seated craving and attachment.
Okay.
Next, the prognosis. Suffering can end.
Okay.
And finally, the treatment, the Eightfold Path.
It's actionable. It gives us something to do.
Exactly. Now, it's important to remember that dukkha encompasses more than just the obvious forms of suffering.
Like physical pain and emotional distress.
Right. Bhikkhu Bodhi, a renowned Buddhist scholar,
Okay.
he talks about different levels of suffering in the Focus on Buddhism video.
Oh, different levels. I'm curious. Tell me more. What are these different levels?
Well, even those pleasurable experiences we cling to are considered a form of dukkha.
Really? Even pleasure?
Because of their impermanence.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. That delicious meal you savor,
Yeah.
that feeling of exhilaration after a big win, the joy of spending time with loved ones,
Those are all good things.
they are, but they're fleeting.
Fleeting.
They don't last.
Because nothing lasts forever.
And clinging to them only sets us up for disappointment when they inevitably fade.
It's true. It makes you wonder, how often do we truly savor those moments?
While they're happening.
Yeah, while they're happening. Or are we so busy chasing the next thing, the next hit of pleasure?
That we miss the beauty of what's right in front of us.
It's definitely something to reflect on. So how do we break free from this cycle of craving and disappointment?
That's where the Eightfold Path comes in. It provides a roadmap. The Buddhism Explained video does a great job of breaking it down, making it easy to grasp.
Let's walk that path together. Where does this journey begin?
The path begins with right understanding.
Right understanding.
It's about accepting the truth of the Four Noble Truths.
Seeing things as they are.
Right. It's about seeing the reality of suffering.
Its cause.
And the possibility of liberation.
It makes sense. You can't truly embark on a journey if you don't believe in the destination.
Exactly. Next comes right thought or right intention.
Okay. Right thought.
This is about cultivating positive, wholesome thoughts.
Okay.
Letting go of those negative thought patterns.
Like greed, hatred, jealousy.
Exactly.
But our minds can be like wild monkeys sometimes.
They can.
Thoughts starting here and there. How do we actually gain control over this mental chatter?
It takes practice, but it starts with awareness. Simply noticing our thoughts.
Noticing them.
Without judgment.
Without judgment, okay.
Right speech and right action naturally flow from right thought.
So it all starts with our thoughts.
It does. Right speech is about speaking truthfully.
Truthfully.
And kindly.
Kindly, yeah.
Right action is about acting ethically and compassionately.
Okay, so our thoughts, our words, our actions, they're all connected.
They are. It's fascinating how Buddhism recognizes that even our seemingly private thoughts have ethical implications.
They do. But how? They're just thoughts.
Our thoughts create ripples that extend outward into the world.
Oh, I see.
There's a powerful quote from the Buddhism Explained video that speaks to this. Your worst enemy cannot harm you as much as your own thoughts.
Wow. Let that sink in for a moment.
Yeah.
The internal battle, the struggle within our own minds.
Can be far more challenging than any external battle we might face.
That's deep. Okay, so we've covered right understanding, right thought, right speech, and right action.
What's next?
What's next on the Eightfold Path?
We've got right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration.
Okay, a lot to unpack there. Let's start with right livelihood. I'm curious about that one. What kind of professions would be considered right in this context?
Well, the Mahakatarisaka Sutta gives some specific examples of what constitutes wrong livelihood.
Okay, so working backwards, I see.
Things like hypocrisy, fortune-telling, trickery for profit.
Those all sound pretty bad.
Essentially, any job that involves harming or exploiting others, that would be considered wrong from a Buddhist perspective.
Makes you pause and reflect on your own career choices, doesn't it?
It does.
Are we contributing to the well-being of others?
Or are we causing harm through our work?
It's a big question.
The key is to find work that aligns with our values.
Work that contributes to the well-being of ourselves and others.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about karma. It's a word that's often misunderstood.
It is.
The Buddhism Explained video clarifies that karma is a system of cause and effect, not some cosmic punishment system.
Right.
What's your take on karma?
Karma is like gravity.
Gravity.
A natural law, a principle of the universe. Every action creates an imprint.
Every act.
Whether mental, verbal, or physical, a ripple in the fabric of existence.
Okay.
These imprints shape our future experiences.
So it's about understanding that our actions have consequences.
Exactly. We're constantly sowing seeds that will eventually bear fruit.
But does intention matter?
Intention plays a crucial role. The consequences of an action are greatly influenced by the intention behind it.
It reminds me of that quote from the Buddhism Explained video.
Which one?
The one that says, if you want to know about your past life, look at your present body. If you want to know your future life, look at your present mind.
Ah, yes. That's a powerful one.
It suggests that our present thoughts and actions are shaping our future.
It highlights the interconnectedness of our actions, thoughts, and experiences.
Across lifetimes.
This brings us to another key concept.
Okay.
Samsara,
Samsara.
the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth.
We're caught in this endless cycle, driven by our karma.
Samsara. It can feel daunting.
It does, a little bit, but also strangely fascinating.
It is, this idea that we're all connected through this cycle of existence.
Okay, so the goal is to break free from this cycle.
To achieve liberation from suffering.
And that's where nirvana comes back in.
Right. Nirvana isn't just about ending suffering in this life.
It's about transcending the entire cycle of samsara.
Reaching a state of complete liberation.
You know, as Buddhism spread throughout Asia, different schools of thought emerged.
It did. The Buddhism Explained video talks about two main branches.
Two main branches.
Theravada and Mahayana.
Theravada and Mahayana.
Okay. They represent two distinct approaches to the path.
I see. What are some of the key differences between these two branches?
One of the most fundamental differences lies in their views of the Buddha.
Wait, there are different views on who the Buddha was.
There are.
That's interesting. Tell me more.
In Theravada Buddhism, the Buddha is seen primarily as a historical figure.
Okay.
Siddhartha Gautama.
Siddhartha Gautama.
The enlightened teacher who lived and died over 2,500 years ago.
Right.
They revere him as an extraordinary human being who achieved liberation.
And showed others the path.
Right.
So in Theravada, the Buddha is revered as a teacher, a guide.
Yes.
But still fundamentally human. What's the Mahayana perspective?
In Mahayana Buddhism, the concept of the Buddha is expanded.
Expanded.
While they acknowledge Siddhartha Gautama as the historical Buddha,
Okay.
they also believe in the existence of multiple Buddhas.
Multiple Buddhas.
Cosmic beings who embody enlightenment and compassion.
Cosmic Buddhas.
It adds a whole other dimension to the understanding of enlightenment, doesn't it?
It does. So it's not just something that's attainable by one person.
Right. It's boundless. Almost as if the Buddha represents a principle, a state of being, rather than just one individual.
It's like they each represent a different facet of enlightenment.
Yes.
The different path that might resonate with individuals in their own unique journeys.
Exactly. And that's what's so remarkable about Buddhism. It offers a path to liberation that can be tailored to individual needs and temperaments.
So even within Buddhism, there's this beautiful diversity of thought and practice.
There is.
It's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Not at all. In fact, under the umbrella of Mahayana, we see a variety of traditions.
Traditions, like what?
Each with its own unique flavor and emphasis.
Like Zen Buddhism, for example.
Yes, Zen Buddhism.
It's a practice I've always been curious about.
Zen Buddhism, which originated in China, is known for its emphasis on meditation, mindfulness, and direct experience.
Direct experience.
They utilize techniques like koans, which are paradoxical riddles or stories designed to challenge the rational mind.
Challenge the rational mind.
And lead to a deeper, more intuitive understanding.
Koans. They sound like those mind-bending puzzles that force you to think outside the box.
They are.
To break free from those habitual patterns of thinking.
Exactly. Another prominent Mahayana tradition is Pure Land Buddhism.
Pure Land Buddhism.
Widely practiced in East Asia, this branch focuses on faith and devotion to Amitabha Buddha.
Amitabha Buddha, okay.
He vows to guide all beings to his pure land.
His pure land.
A realm of bliss where enlightenment is more easily attainable.
So, Pure Land Buddhism offers a path that's more accessible to ordinary people.
It does.
People who might not have the time or inclination for those intense meditation practices.
Right.
It's about cultivating faith and devotion as a means to liberation.
Precisely. It recognizes that not everyone's path will look the same.
Okay, so we've got Zen Buddhism and Pure Land Buddhism.
And then, of course, we have Tibetan Buddhism.
Tibetan Buddhism.
Often referred to as Vajrayana, or the Diamond Vehicle.
Diamond Vehicle, wow.
It's known for its intricate rituals.
Rituals, okay.
Vibrant imagery and profound mystical practices.
Tibetan Buddhism. It's always held a certain mystique for me.
It has for many people.
I've seen those beautiful mandalas.
Yes.
And heard about the powerful mantras they use in their practices.
Vajrayana draws from both Theravada and Mahayana teachings.
Okay, so it's kind of a blend.
It adds its own unique elements, like mantras.
Mantras.
Which are sacred sounds or syllables.
Oh, I see.
And mandalas.
Mandalas.
Which are symbolic representations of the cosmos often used as aids in meditation.
Mandalas are visually stunning. Those intricate, colorful patterns that represent the universe.
They are.
I can see how they would be powerful tools for meditation.
They are. And in Tibetan Buddhism, the role of the guru or lama is very important.
The guru or lama, okay.
They guide students on their spiritual journey and provide teachings specific to that lineage.
So Tibetan Buddhism is like a tapestry woven from various traditions,
It is.
with its own unique set of tools and practices designed to accelerate the path to enlightenment.
That's a good way to put it. Now, despite the variations among these branches,
They all share a common foundation.
right, the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path,
So ultimately, they're all pointing towards the same destination.
liberation from suffering and the cycle of samsara.
Exactly. And they all emphasize the importance of cultivating compassion, wisdom, and ethical conduct,
It's like they're all different paths leading to the same summit.
each with its own unique scenery and challenges along the way.
The key is to find the path that resonates with your own understanding.
And temperament.
Exactly. Buddhism isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
So much to explore. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the role of meditation in Buddhism.
Okay, meditation.
It seems to be pretty central to the practice, regardless of which branch you're looking at.
Meditation is absolutely essential in Buddhism.
Essential, okay.
It's the training ground for cultivating mindfulness, concentration, and insight.
That's where the real transformation happens.
It is.
So it's not just about relaxation or stress reduction.
Well, those can be positive side effects.
Right.
But the primary purpose of meditation in Buddhism is to gain a deeper understanding
Deeper understanding of what?
of the nature of reality and the workings of our own minds,
Seeing things as they truly are.
without the filters of our preconceptions and judgments.
The Buddhism Explained video talks about right mindfulness and right concentration as two key aspects of the Eightfold Path.
They are.
What are the differences between these two?
Right. Mindfulness.
Oh,
As Thich Nhat Hanh beautifully puts it,
I like him.
the energy that helps us to go home to the here and now
The here and now,
and live deeply in our life
being fully present in each moment.
without judgment or distraction.
Okay.
Think of mindfulness as a wide-angle lens,
A wide-angle lens, okay.
taking in the entire panorama of experience.
So we're seeing everything.
Right. Concentration, on the other hand, is more like a focused beam,
Oh, okay. A focused being.
allowing us to zoom in on a specific object of attention.
So in a way, mindfulness is the foundation,
Yes.
and concentration builds upon that foundation.
Exactly. Right. Concentration is what we typically think of as meditation.
Okay.
It's about focusing the mind on a single point, like the breath,
The breath.
a mantra, or an image.
Okay. So narrowing our focus.
It's about training the mind to become still, to settle down and become absorbed in the present moment.
And through this focused attention,
We can develop deeper insights.
insights into the nature of reality.
Precisely. The Buddhism Explained video mentions that concentration gives you insight into your thoughts and why they happen.
Okay, so by observing our thoughts and emotions,
Without judgment,
without judgment, right,
we can begin to see how they arise,
and pass away,
how they create suffering.
and how we can become free from their grip.
Right.
It's like meditation becomes a laboratory for understanding our own minds.
It is.
We can observe those thoughts and emotions as they arise.
Without getting swept away by them.
That's the key.
It's about developing a sense of detachment from our thoughts and emotions.
Attachment.
Realizing that they are not who we are.
But meditation isn't always easy, is it?
It's not.
Our minds can be pretty unruly.
Like those wild monkeys we talked about earlier.
Exactly.
It takes practice,
Practice, yeah.
patience, and persistence.
But the benefits are profound.
They are. It's about training the mind.
Like an athlete trains their body.
Exactly.
The Focus on Buddhism video talks about overcoming emotional resistance
To what?
to the idea of suffering. It's something I think a lot of people struggle with. We tend to shy away from unpleasant experiences.
We do. Both physical and emotional.
I want to push them away.
Pretend they're not there.
It's natural to want to avoid pain and discomfort.
It is.
But Buddhism teaches us that by facing our suffering head-on,
By investigating it.
investigating it.
With mindfulness and compassion, we can actually transform it.
So it's not about denying or suppressing our suffering,
No.
but about developing a different relationship with it.
Exactly. It's about bringing a gentle, curious awareness to our suffering.
Gentle, curious awareness.
To simply observe it without judgment or resistance.
And that's where the practice of meditation becomes so crucial.
It is.
It helps us to cultivate that inner space, that stillness within,
Where we can simply be with our experience.
no matter what it is.
Right.
Now, let's talk about the role of ethics in Buddhism.
Mm.
It seems like compassion and ethical conduct are deeply intertwined.
They are right speech, right action, and right livelihood.
3 components of the Eightfold Path.
all emphasize the importance of living an ethical life.
The Buddhism Explained video highlights ahimsa, or nonviolence, as a core principle.
Ahimsa is key.
It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of all beings.
And understanding that our actions have consequences.
So it's not just about physical nonviolence.
Yeah.
It's about abstaining from harming ourselves and others in any way.
Both physically and mentally.
Okay.
It's about cultivating kindness, compassion, and loving kindness in all our interactions.
It's about recognizing that our actions have a ripple effect.
They do.
That what we do and say affects not only ourselves,
but also those around us.
The 5 mindfulness trainings mentioned by Thich Nhat Hanh offer a practical guide for ethical conduct.
They do.
Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. They provide a framework for bringing mindfulness into our daily lives, our relationships, and our interactions with the world.
They touch upon refraining from killing,
stealing,
harmful speech,
and sexual misconduct.
They even address mindful consumption,
which is incredibly relevant in today's world where consumerism and materialism are so rampant.
It's true. They're a blueprint for living a life of greater awareness,
compassion,
and responsibility.
A life that's in harmony with ourselves, with others, and with the planet.
I'm struck by this quote from Deepak Chopra's Meditation for Inner Peace video. It isn't possible for the self to keep secrets from itself forever.
Wow.
No matter how thoroughly we've been trained to believe otherwise.
That's profound. It speaks to the power of self-awareness.
The idea that ultimately we can't hide from ourselves.
We can't, no matter how much we try to bury those uncomfortable truths.
They will eventually surface.
They will.
It's a reminder that the path to liberation starts with honesty.
And self-reflection.
It starts with turning inward and facing ourselves. With all our flaws and imperfections.
With courage and compassion. And it highlights the importance of compassion.
As we become more aware of our own suffering,
our own struggles and vulnerability,
we naturally become more sensitive to the suffering of others.
We do.
It's like compassion is the antidote to self-centeredness.
It is.
It helps us to break free from that narrow, ego-driven perspective and connect with a wider sense of humanity.
Exactly. And that's the foundation for a more peaceful and harmonious world.
Now, before we wrap up this part of our exploration, let's touch upon some common misconceptions about Buddhism.
Misconceptions, okay.
It's a path that's often misunderstood.
It is.
And I think it's important to clear up some of these misconceptions.
I agree. There's a lot of misinformation out there.
Like what? What are some of the common misconceptions you've encountered?
Well, one common misconception is that Buddhism is all about detachment.
Detachment?
And renouncing the world.
So are Buddhists supposed to live like hermits in caves?
Meditating all day? Detached from the pleasures and joys of life?
Is that it?
Not at all.
Okay.
While some individuals may choose a monastic life, Buddhism is very much a path that can be practiced in the midst of everyday life.
In the real world.
It's about finding balance, appreciating the good things in life, and cultivating a sense of non-attachment to fleeting experiences.
Non-attachment, okay.
It's about enjoying those pleasures without clinging to them, without letting them define us.
So it's not about denying ourselves pleasure, but about enjoying it without getting caught in that trap of craving and attachment.
Exactly. Another common misconception is that Buddhism is nihilistic.
Nihilistic.
That it views life as meaningless and purposeless.
So it's not about believing that nothing matters.
And that we're all just drifting aimlessly through existence.
Is that what people think?
Buddhism acknowledges the reality of suffering, but it's far from nihilistic.
Okay.
It offers a path to meaning and purpose. A way to live a life filled with joy, compassion, and wisdom.
It's about waking up to the beauty and wonder of life.
Even in the midst of suffering.
So it's not about escaping from life.
No.
But about engaging with it more fully and authentically.
Precisely. And finally, there's the misconception that Buddhism is a religion.
A religion, in the traditional sense.
Right. Meaning that it involves worshiping a deity.
And adhering to a strict set of doctrines.
While there are rituals and practices associated with Buddhism, it's not about worshiping a god or seeking divine intervention. It's more of a philosophy, a way of life.
Based on understanding the nature of reality.
And the potential for human transformation. It's about taking responsibility for our own awakening.
For our own liberation.
Exactly.
So it's about empowering ourselves to become the architects of our own happiness and well-being.
Precisely. Buddhism provides us with the tools, the insights, and the practices to cultivate inner peace, wisdom, and compassion.
But it's up to each of us to do the work, to walk the path.
It is.
It's a journey of self-discovery, and it's well worth the effort. Now, for our listeners who are intrigued by what we've explored so far and want to learn more,
Where would you suggest they begin?
there are so many wonderful resources available, both online and offline. The books and videos we've discussed today are a great starting point.
They are.
There are also many insightful articles and websites dedicated to sharing Buddhist teachings.
And don't underestimate the power of connecting with others who are on this path.
Yes, community can be so supportive.
It can.
Are there any specific books or authors you'd recommend for those who are just starting to dip their toes into Buddhist thought?
Thich Nhat Hanh is a wonderful place to start. His teachings are incredibly accessible and heart-centered.
I can see why he's so popular.
Peace is every step.
Peace is every step.
And the heart of the Buddhist teaching.
Okay, those sound like good starting points.
Those were two of his books that I often recommend. Pema Chodron is another great teacher.
Pema Chodron.
Her book, When Things Fall Apart, offers wise and compassionate guidance.
When Things Fall Apart.
I love that title.
For navigating difficult times.
It feels very relevant these days. And what about those who are interested in exploring the practice of meditation?
Meditation, okay.
Are there any guided meditations or resources you'd suggest?
There are countless guided meditations available online and through various apps.
It can be overwhelming to know where to start.
It can. Tara Brach and Jack Kornfield.
Tara Brach, Jack Kornfield.
Okay.
They are two teachers who offer beautiful guided meditations. Insight Timer is a great app.
Insight Timer? I've heard of that one.
It offers a wide variety of meditations from different teachers and traditions.
So there's something for everyone.
There is.
And don't be afraid to explore local Buddhist centers or temples in your community.
Right.
It can be a wonderful way to connect with others who are on this path.
And learn more about different traditions.
Exactly. The most important thing is to approach Buddhism with an open mind.
And a willingness to learn.
It's a journey of self-discovery. And the rewards are immeasurable. Now, let's dive into the practice of meditation.
Okay, diving in.
There are countless techniques, but they all share a common thread, right?
They do. Cultivating awareness of the present moment.
That sounds deceptively simple. Just being present. Why is that so challenging?
Our minds are wired to wander.
They are. Always off on some tangent.
We get caught up in thoughts of the past.
Past regrets.
Worries about the future.
Future anxieties.
Meditation helps us train this unruly mind, gently guiding it back to the here and now.
Like a muscle we can strengthen through practice.
Precisely. The Meditation for Inner Peace video highlights a beautiful technique.
What is it?
Simply focusing on the breath.
Okay, the breath.
Noticing the gentle rise and fall of the chest.
Okay, I can visualize that.
The coolness of the air as it enters the nostrils, the warmth as it leaves.
It's an anchor to the present moment.
It is.
A way to cultivate stillness amidst the inner storm.
Exactly.
It sounds so peaceful. But what about those inevitable distractions?
Distraction.
Those thoughts that pop up like uninvited guests.
Ah, yes. The monkey mind. The key is not to judge those thoughts.
Not to judge them.
Not to get caught up in a battle with them.
Okay.
Simply acknowledge their presence and gently guide your attention back to the breath.
Back to the breath.
Right.
It's about developing a sense of detachment from those thoughts.
Detachment, yeah.
Recognizing that they are not who we are.
Exactly. The more we practice, the more we realize that thoughts are like clouds passing through the sky. They come and go.
We don't need to cling to them or push them away.
We don't.
There's a freedom in that, isn't there?
There is.
In realizing that we're not our thoughts.
Immense freedom.
Immense freedom, yeah. And as we cultivate this mindful awareness through meditation, it begins to permeate other areas of our lives.
It does. We start to see the world with fresh eyes.
How so? What are some of the real-world benefits of this practice?
The Focus on Buddhism video touches upon this.
Okay.
Studies have shown that regular meditation can reduce stress and anxiety.
Stress and anxiety, that's huge.
Improve focus and concentration, and even boost our immune systems.
Wow, so it's not just mental and emotional benefits. There
Yeah.
are physical benefits as well.
Right.
It's fascinating how a practice that seems so inward-focused can have such tangible outward benefits.
It is. But the true magic of meditation goes beyond these benefits. It's about cultivating a deep sense of peace and well-being that doesn't depend on external circumstances.
That sounds incredibly empowering.
It is.
To find that inner peace amidst the chaos of daily life.
Right.
Is there a specific type of meditation that's best for cultivating this inner peace?
There are many paths up the mountain. The key is to find a technique that resonates with you.
Okay, so explore different options.
The Buddhism Explained video talks about Vipassana meditation,
Vipassana meditation.
which focuses on developing insight into the nature of reality
Insight.
through mindful observation.
Mindful observation. What does that mean exactly?
It's about paying close attention to our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment,
Without judgment, okay.
simply observing them as they arise and pass away.
It's a powerful tool for understanding the impermanent nature of all things.
It is. Everything is constantly changing.
It sounds like a way to become more aware of those habitual patterns of thinking.
And reacting.
Yeah, those patterns that often lead to suffering.
Exactly. Another powerful practice is loving-kindness meditation,
Loving kindness meditation.
also known as metta meditation.
Metta meditation, okay.
It's a beautiful practice that involves cultivating feelings of loving-kindness and compassion,
Okay.
first towards ourselves,
Our
then
yes.
towards others.
Starting with ourselves, why is that important?
We often extend compassion to others more easily than we do to ourselves.
That's true. It's easier to be kind to others than to ourselves sometimes.
Meditation helps us to develop a sense of kindness
And acceptance.
towards our own imperfections, towards our own struggles.
And it's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
We need to fill our own cup with compassion before we can truly share it with others.
Beautifully put. And as we cultivate this loving kindness towards ourselves, it naturally radiates outwards,
Outward.
encompassing loved ones, friends, acquaintances, even those we find difficult to love.
So it's not just about feeling good about ourselves.
No.
It's about extending that loving kindness to everyone. It's
Exactly.
like a ripple effect of compassion, spreading outward from our own hearts.
Exactly. And it doesn't stop there.
It doesn't.
The practice encourages us to extend this loving kindness to all beings, without exception.
All beings, wow.
That's a powerful concept.
It is.
To cultivate compassion, even for those who we perceive as enemies or adversaries.
That's a challenging practice.
It is.
And a transformative one.
It challenges us to move beyond those narrow boundaries of self and other, to recognize the interconnectedness of all beings.
And as we cultivate this loving kindness, it transforms not only our internal world,
But also our interactions with the world around us.
it's a practice that can create more peace
And harmony.
in our relationships, in our communities, and in the world at large.
I couldn't agree more. Now, let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and explore some common misconceptions about meditation.
Misconceptions about meditation.
Yeah, a lot of people think it's about emptying the mind,
And emptying the mind.
achieving a state of blankness.
That's a misconception I've heard as well. It seems like an impossible feat
It is.
to completely silence the mind.
It's not about suppressing thoughts.
Or forcing the mind to be quiet.
It's about developing a different relationship with thoughts, recognizing that thoughts are simply mental events.
Mental events.
They come and go. We don't need to get caught up in them.
To identify with them.
It's about cultivating a sense of spaciousness, a sense of awareness that's bigger than our thoughts.
Another common misconception is that meditation is only for spiritual seekers.
Or those who are already calm and peaceful.
So it's not just for monks sitting on mountaintops.
Not at all. Meditation is for everyone.
Everyone.
It's a practice that can benefit anyone, regardless of their background, beliefs, or temperament. In fact, those who struggle with stress, anxiety, or racing thoughts might benefit the most from meditation.
It's a tool for cultivating inner peace and well-being.
A tool that's available to all of us.
And it's a practice that can be integrated into everyday life.
It can.
What do you mean by that? How can we integrate meditation into our busy lives?
It doesn't require hours of sitting in silence.
Oh, good.
Even a few minutes of mindful breathing can make a difference.
So we can practice mindfulness while we're walking, eating, doing the dishes.
Even waiting in line at the grocery store.
It's about bringing that quality of awareness to everyday activities.
Exactly.
It's about finding those moments of stillness amidst the busyness. Those moments where we can drop in.
And connect with the present moment.
The Meditation for Inner Peace video reminds us that peace isn't something we find out there in the world.
It's something we cultivate within.
It's an inside job.
Precisely. And the more we practice, the more we realize that peace is available to us in every moment.
It's not something we need to strive for or achieve,
It's already here.
waiting to be discovered.
Right.
It's like that saying, wherever you go, there you are. We can't escape ourselves, but we can learn to be more present with ourselves, with more kindness and acceptance.
Beautifully put. Now, let's shift gears once again and talk about the role of ethics in Buddhism.
Ethics.
It's not just about personal transformation, it's about living in a way that benefits all beings.
It seems like ethical conduct is not separate from the practice of meditation. It's an extension of that mindfulness and compassion we cultivate on the cushion.
Exactly. The Eightfold Path guides us towards right speech, right action, and right livelihood.
It's about aligning our actions with our values.
Living in a way that's congruent with our deepest understanding of interconnectedness.
So it's not about following a set of rigid rules or commandments.
It's about cultivating a way of being in the world that's rooted in wisdom and compassion.
And as we deepen our practice, we naturally begin to act in ways that are beneficial to ourselves and others.
It's like a flower that blooms naturally when the conditions are right.
The Buddhism Explained video emphasizes that cultivating ethical conduct isn't about becoming a goody two-shoes.
It's not about being perfect.
It's about recognizing that our actions have consequences and choosing to act in ways that create more harmony and well-being in the world.
It's about waking up to the reality of interconnectedness, to understand that our actions, no matter how small, have an impact on the web of life.
The 5 mindfulness trainings offer a practical guide for ethical living,
They do.
don't they?
They provide a framework for cultivating mindfulness in our relationships,
Okay.
our work, our consumption habits, and our interactions with the environment.
They invite us to live with greater awareness, compassion, and responsibility.
To consider the impact of our actions on ourselves, on others, and on the planet.
They're a call to live in a way that's aligned with our deepest values.
And they're a reminder that ethical conduct isn't a destination. It's a journey,
A journey, yeah.
a process of continuous learning, growth, and refinement.
We're always learning, always growing.
We are. The key is to be open to that growth, to be willing to examine our own biases and blind spots, and to be committed to living in a way that reflects our deepest understanding of interconnectedness.
It's a lifelong practice.
And it's one that's essential for creating a more just, compassionate, and sustainable world.
Now, before we move on, I'd like to touch upon the importance of community in the Buddhist path.
Community.
Yeah, it's not just a solitary pursuit. It's a path that's best walked with others.
The Focus on Buddhism video talks about Sangha,
Sangha.
which refers to the community of Buddhist practitioners.
Sangha can provide support, encouragement, and inspiration on the path.
It can.
It's a place where we can share our struggles, our insights, and our aspirations,
It's like a group of fellow travelers,
all journeying towards the same destination.
supporting and encouraging each other along the way.
And Sangha isn't limited to those who identify as Buddhists.
It's not. It can be any group of people who are committed to living with greater awareness, compassion, and ethical conduct.
So we can find Sangha in our families, our friendships, our communities,
And in those who share our values.
even if they don't practice Buddhism.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we're all in this together, that we're all interconnected, and that we need each other to navigate this journey called life.
It's a reminder that we're not alone, that there are others who understand the challenges we face and who can offer support and encouragement along the way. And it's a reminder that we can all learn from each other.
That each of us has something unique and valuable to offer the world. Now, before we wrap up this segment, I'd like to share a quote from the Meditation for Inner Peace video that has always resonated with me.
I'm all ears.
Deepak Chopra says, "The greatest spiritual practice is self-observation without judgment."
Self-observation without judgment. It's such a simple statement, yet it holds so much depth.
It invites us to turn inward, to become aware of our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without labeling them as good or bad, right or wrong.
It's about cultivating a sense of curiosity, a gentle acceptance of whatever arises in our experience.
Precisely. And as we develop this capacity for self-observation without judgment, we begin to unravel those layers of conditioning, those limiting beliefs and patterns of behavior that keep us stuck in suffering.
It's like we're peeling back the layers of an onion, revealing our true nature, our true selves, beneath all those layers of conditioning.
And in that process of self-discovery, we begin to uncover our own innate wisdom,
Our own capacity for love and compassion.
our own inherent worthiness.
It's a journey that takes courage, honesty, and a willingness to be vulnerable.
It does.
But it's a journey that's ultimately about awakening to our full potential, to who we truly are.
Beautifully said.
As we move into our final segment, we'll explore how the wisdom of Buddhism can help us to navigate the challenges and opportunities of modern life.
Okay.
We'll delve into topics like mindful communication, cultivating healthy relationships, and finding purpose and meaning in a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming.
We'll continue to uncover those practical insights and tools that can help us to live with greater awareness, compassion, and purpose.
I'm excited to continue this exploration with you. But for now, let's take a moment to simply be present, to savor the stillness within, and to appreciate the journey we've taken together so far. Okay, ready for the final stretch of our Buddhism deep dive.
Let's do it.
It's amazing how these ancient teachings still feel so relevant today.
Absolutely. The challenges we face today, they're not so different from what the Buddha was talking about.
The stress, the anxiety, the feeling of disconnection,
It's all there in the teachings 2,500 years ago.
and the tools he offered, mindfulness, compassion, ethical conduct, they feel more essential than ever.
Couldn't agree more.
Like they're exactly what we need to navigate the complexities of modern life.
Definitely. And one area where those tools can make a real difference, communication.
Communicate, oh yeah, the foundation of pretty much everything. Relationships, work, community. But it's also something so many of us struggle with.
Big time.
So how can Buddhism help us communicate better?
Well, remember the Eightfold Path. Right speech is a key part of that.
Right.
It's about speaking truthfully, kindly, and skillfully.
Skillfully, that's interesting. What does skillful communication actually look like?
It's about being mindful of the impact of our words, choosing words that create connection rather than division.
Words that foster understanding instead of fueling conflict.
Exactly.
It reminds me of that saying, is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Simple but powerful.
It is. And Buddhist teachings also emphasize deep listening.
Deep listening.
Not just waiting for your turn to speak, but truly listening with an open heart and mind.
Really hearing what the other person is saying.
And feeling.
The Focus on Buddhism video talked about cultivating empathy in communication.
Empathy, yeah. That's crucial.
Really trying to see things from the other person's perspective.
Stepping into their shoes, understanding their experience.
That takes effort.
It does. Putting aside our own judgments and assumptions to truly understand the other person's world.
It's a practice, right? Setting aside our ego to listen with an open heart.
It takes practice, humility, patience, a willingness to be wrong.
But the rewards are huge.
They are. When we communicate with empathy, we create space for understanding, connection, even healing.
It's like we're building bridges instead of walls.
Exactly. And those bridges, those are essential for a more compassionate and harmonious world. Speaking of relationships, Buddhist teachings have a lot to say about navigating those complex connections.
Relationships are messy. They can be so challenging.
For sure. The Meditation for Inner Peace video highlights something really important.
What's that?
That our happiness shouldn't depend on other people.
Interesting. But that doesn't mean we should become emotionally detached, right?
Not at all. It's about cultivating inner peace and contentment within ourselves, not seeking it externally.
I see. So we're not relying on others to fill a void.
Exactly. And when we come from a place of wholeness, our relationships change. They become more about sharing and connection, less about neediness and dependence.
Like we're meeting each other as whole individuals, not trying to complete each other.
Precisely. Buddhist teachings also emphasize loving kindness and compassion in relationships.
That makes sense. But extending that to everyone we encounter, even those who challenge us, that's tough.
It is, but it's about remembering that everyone is on their own journey, facing their own struggles, meeting them with understanding even when their behavior is difficult.
It's about recognizing that interconnectedness again. We're all part of this web of life, affecting each other.
Exactly. And the more we cultivate compassion, the more we help create a world where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued. Now, shifting gears a bit, a lot of people today are searching for meaning and purpose in this fast-paced, overwhelming world.
Yeah. What's my purpose? What am I here to do? Those are big questions.
They are. And Buddhist teachings offer some interesting insights. Remember Right Livelihood from the Eightfold Path?
Right livelihood, yeah.
It's about finding work that aligns with our values, work that contributes to our well-being and the well-being of others.
Finding that sweet spot where our passions and skills meet the needs of the world.
Exactly. And it's not limited to paid work.
It's about how we live our lives.
Right. How we spend our time, how we contribute to the world around us.
The Focus on Buddhism video talked about finding joy in the simple things. The beauty of nature, acts of kindness, moments of connection.
Simple but profound.
Shifting our focus from what we lack to what we have. From wanting to giving.
Cultivating gratitude for the present moment, for the gift of life itself.
And as we cultivate gratitude, we see the world differently.
We do. We start to appreciate the beauty and wonder around us. even amidst the challenges,
It's like shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset.
focusing on what's already here instead of what's missing.
And from that place of abundance, we can live with greater generosity, kindness, and purpose. Wow, we've covered so much ground in this Buddhism deep dive.
We have.
The Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, mindfulness, compassion, ethical conduct, skillful communication.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. But these teachings offer such a powerful path to liberation, not just from personal suffering, but from the suffering we see in the world around us.
It's about waking up to that interconnectedness, cultivating inner peace and compassion, living in a way that benefits all beings.
Before we wrap up, I want to share a quote from the Meditation for Inner Peace video that really stuck with me.
Okay, let's hear it.
Deepak Chopra says, "In the stillness of your presence, you can feel your own formless and timeless reality as the unmanifested life that animates your physical form."
Beautiful.
It reminds us that beneath all the layers, all the thoughts and emotions and experiences,
There's a deeper reality.
a sense of wholeness and interconnectedness that unites us all.
It's an invitation to turn inward, to connect with that reality, and let it guide our actions in the world.
As we go about our day, may we all find those moments of stillness, moments of connection, and moments of compassion. May we remember the wisdom we've explored today and let it guide us on our journey towards greater peace, purpose, and liberation.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the heart of Buddhism. May your path be filled with wisdom, compassion, and joy.